Well, the Titans got absolutely crushed, and this is going to sound absolutely insane. I'm not too upset about it, and I'll explain why on today's episode. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Titans Rundown. I am your host, Mike McCamey, and welcome into the show to people from Thunder Radio or to people looking on YouTube or on podcasting. No matter where you're watching, you're always welcome, and it's nice to see you. But in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Tennessee Titans Week 8 moments. Like, what exactly was a week 8 like the recap, the review, all of that stuff, right? Just talking about what exactly is going on with the Titans. Last week, we obviously covered week 7. We talked about how we got absolutely just, again, destroyed by the Patriots. That feels like a lifetime ago. Quite frankly, it was last week, which just feels so weird. Anyway, I'm really excited to get into this game because here's the thing, even though we got crushed, like I said in the intro, I don't feel too terrible about it. And again, I'll explain why. But first off, we got to get into some of the other crappy stuff. Roger McCreary was traded. Obviously, a lot of people are really upset about this. Like, I thought Titans Twitter was going to burn to the ground whenever this happened. Heck, I mean, I understand it. Not because of the fact that McCreary was like this awesome cornerback. He was okay. But it was more so just because of how it was more so just because of how weird the return was. Like, here's the thing, right? We basically jumped up really high up. Like, we jumped up nearly an entire round with the picks that we traded. But again, day 3 pick, specifically a 5th round pick, doesn't feel great, especially whenever I personally do feel like we could have gotten a 4th out of him. But still, like, I'm completely fine with it. You know, if you want to lead the tank, lead the tank. I'm not too upset about it. Now, look, here's the thing, right? I would have preferred Roger McCreary to be signed, but it doesn't seem like that's what the front office really wants out of their players. They want really good, really solid cornerbacks. Not saying that Roger McCreary isn't one of those, but ones that have like long arms, they make plays on the ball, they have big hands, all that stuff. Roger McCreary fit none of that. And actually, whenever you put him on the outside, he was an absolute liability. He was only a slot corner. People who say that he's versatile, trust me, they have no idea what they're talking about. But still, I'm going to miss Roger McCreary, obviously, especially with who we have coming in after that. I mean, we just signed a dude, ironically named Micah, from Tulane. He may be a little better, but he's still not going to be good. Don't act like that we're just going to get some insane player out of a 7th round pick that barely made the roster in camp, even though he did make some noise. Give him credit for that. But then after that, maybe you get to see what you have in the cornerback that we drafted this year, whose name I can't remember. Golly, come on, Micah. It was the one drafted after. Hold on. Give me one. Was it Chris Harris? Maybe. Let me take a look at this. I knew it was something Harris. I couldn't get it down, but it was Marcus Harris. Okay, so Marcus Harris, maybe we get to see something out of him. Everybody else is honestly kind of a bunch of scrubs, if I'm being honest. I mean, Jalen Amor Davis, I can't remember how to pronounce his name completely, but obviously, you know, people are comparing him. He's like the next Trey Avery or whatever. I don't agree with that. But still, because I don't think he's going to be around too much longer. And if he is, he's going to be a depth piece at best. So again, like literally, Denard Wilson was interviewed today as I am recording this. He was interviewed today, a couple of hours ago, saying, you know, we got to start him, man. Like, look, sometimes you just got to start some players, and that's one that we do. Like, he was that obviously wasn't the exact quote, probably sounded a little bit more sophisticated, but basically what he was getting across was, okay, we know that he's bad, but he's not as bad as some of the other stuff that we have. But I am interested to see what Marcus Harris can do. I mean, I think that he's a grinder. I think he's a hustler. And I'm not saying he's going to be JBJ or anything like that. I mean, obviously not. But I do think that he could end up being something somewhat decent. Anyway, also wanted to address real fast, I never made anything out of this. Tyler Lockett got released. Unfortunately, well, not completely unfortunately. I hate the fact that it didn't work out, but honestly, he needed to get cut so that way younger receivers could get their chance to show their shine, and, you know, maybe we see something out of one of these guys. And we did out of one of them. Which one is it? We'll get to that. But before we get into the positives and negatives, which, by the way, I've changed some rules on that. Instead of it being as many positives and as many negatives, it's going to be 3 positives, 3 negatives, okay? 3 positives, 3 negatives. Got it? Okay, let's go. Before we get into the positives and negatives, though, we got to talk about Cam Ward. Again, separate area. I just kind of keep him in the neutral, right? Like, I'm not going to put him in a positive or negative thing because you really can't tell if he's actually playing really good or if he's looking good because of how bad the roster around him is, or he's looking not amazing, or if he's not, or if the truth is he's not looking amazing, and again the roster around him is making him look better, not because they're good, but because they're so bad that it makes Cam look good, if that makes sense, right? So here's the thing, right? This was Cam Ward's best game so far. I have pretty solid confidence in saying that. Obviously, Cam's fourth quarter is not going to be matched, but the rest of that Cardinals game was not really that good, right? But everything else has been just kind of meh, mediocre at best. I mean, the highest grade that I gave him was a C for his games. But this game was a B minus. Look, he made some really nice and accurate throws. He looked poised. He looked calm. He looked like he was processing everything pretty well. He fit in some really tight windows. I remember specifically my personal favorite one was the crossing route right before the end of the first half. They threw, I believe it was Chimere Dike, just an absolute dart of a throw. One of the more underrated ones, though, was his throw to Gunnar Helm. Gunnar was going down the sideline, and he just catches that thing perfectly in stride, right? Now, obviously, there were a lot of things that Cam could have done better. Yes, even though I do think that his overthrow deep was on a certain receiver, which we will get to in a minute, I do also think that he could have maybe done a little bit of a better job throwing that, just personally. But no, overall, I thought it was a decent game. He needs some better receivers, like really badly. I actually think the O-line was fine in this game. I mean, I think Lloyd Cushenberry had a bad moment. But outside of that, J.C. Latham only allowed a pressure. Dan Moore only allowed 2 pressures. Zeitler wasn't a complete liability in this game. Skronsky was solid as always. And Lloyd Cushenberry, again, we may need a new center after this year because, he's not looking amazing, to say the least. And honestly, maybe you do just start Jackson Slater there and you go get a right guard either in free agency or in the draft. I mean, that works for me either way. But again, just overall, decent game from Cam Ward, hoping that he can keep building on this. And I'm hoping by week 18, he goes up against the Jags and he just balls the heck out. That's what I'm hoping for. And everybody gets excited about the future and what's he going to do with a real head coach, all that stuff. The stuff that I've been saying, except enhanced because, more people are saying it. But again, excited to see where this season goes for Cam Ward after that game. More excited than I have been the past couple of weeks. And he didn't drop the football. That was amazing. Oh my gosh, that was the best part of it. Anyway, now we move on to the positives and negatives. Starting out with the positives, I think that this may be the most obvious one, and we're going to go with it. Chimere Dike. Oh my gosh, this dude may be starting next year. That may be an over-exaggeration. I do not care. Chimere Dike has brought in some life into this offense that previously was not there. Now that I think about it, I got to pick him up in fantasy after today, but just absolutely phenomenal stuff from Chimere Dike. 7 catches for 90 yards was Cam Ward's favorite target, consistently was hitting him. Just a really solid game from Chimere Dike. And that's a dude that I'm excited to see next year. Look, I was really low on Chimere Dike coming out of college. I thought that he was just a fast dude, didn't really do that much well outside of, be fast, right? There were a lot of things I was, I'm not the biggest fan. I thought that we drafted a glorified special teams player, but oh my gosh, he's been amazing in the 2 starts that he's gotten, right? And again, I'm excited to see his chemistry develop with Cam Ward. Look, he's not going to be the guy that goes and mosses every kid on the block, but if he can get open, he's going to make some good yak. So I was just really happy about Chimere Dike's performance. My next positive was Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm was also really solid in this game. He wasn't popping off the stat sheet or anything, but he was a fine enough blocker. He was a really he was a good pass catcher. He got a touchdown. He got, again, that really nice ball from Cam Ward. And again, you're starting to see slowly but surely the snaps are starting to go toward Gunnar Helm, not because of the fact that they, are thinking that he's already better than Chig, but because Chig, they're trying to keep him healthy because I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to get traded. And whenever that does happen, trust me, you're going to see a lot of posts about how there are no players left from the John Robinson era past 2020. I mean that as in no players that were drafted by John Robinson in the 2020, 2021, or 22 class will remain on this roster. And for people that try and defend J-Rob, that's ridiculous. Look, if he had like one or two bad classes that like had a couple of decent players in there, but everybody was really terrible most of the time, that would be 100% understanding of the defense. Like, I would actually think that Amy made a mistake firing him. But whenever you have three bad classes in a row, and not just three bad classes, three generationally bad classes in a row, like at least with some of the Carthen drafts, we can hang our hat on. Oh, okay, we got Peter Skronsky in the first. He's been really good. Or, we got Tavondre Sweat. Like we can hang our hats on that with the Carthen. Even though I do think Carthen may have been a worse GM overall, because of the Cali hire and other things outside of that. Even though that is how I feel, at least he had drafts that we can hang our hats on. Like those last 3 years of John Robinson, nobody ended up being good. Not one. Anyway, side rant aside, going back to Gunnar Helm, really solid game from him. And again, Chig's probably getting traded. Thank you, Chig, for the service that you did for the Tennessee Titans. And he's going to be a dog somewhere else. I'm just preparing y'all for that. Like, I'm not saying that as in, we're just so terrible, but even though we kind of are, like, I'm just saying, like, he's going to go somewhere else and ball out because of the situation that he is currently in. And I'm excited to see that, and I'll be cheering him on. But anyway, good game from Gunnar Helm. Good game from Gunnar Helm, okay? Still don't want to, take our sights off of that. Good game from Gunnar Helm. Okay, the last thing that I'll mention for positives is the draft pick. Okay, big day for the draft pick yesterday. The Jets finally got their first win. Did the Saints get another win? The Saints didn't get another win, but the Dolphins got a win. The Ravens got a win. The Browns didn't get a win, but they're a game ahead of us, so that's not too worrying. So now we are currently at the number 3 spot. And if we lose that game to New Orleans in a couple of weeks from now, and we just consistently keep playing bad, like, I hate that, but if we keep consistently playing pretty bad and, the Jets maybe pick up another miraculous win, then we can land the first overall pick, scam a team out of their future, have them realize, wait, Fernando isn't really that great because, I don't know, I just personally think that he's fool's gold. But you realize, hey, Fernando, are we sure he's all that good? That happens, and then we get another high pick next year. We draft Ruben Bain this year, and then we draft a top-tier receiver next year. It is an amazing plan, and I really hope it happens. Anyway, and of course, we got to hire the right head coach, but that's for later in the episode. So, again, really big day for the draft pick. Just got to keep on tanking, baby. Keep on tanking. And if we do end up with the number 3 pick, that's fine too, right? I mean, we just draft Ruben Bain. We tank it through another year with Cam Ward hopefully looking pretty promising. We go like competitive 6-11 or something like that, and then we draft a good wide receiver next year to be Cam Ward's alpha, if you will. The draft pick, obviously, that's a big win. Okay, next thing, the negatives. Okay, so if we got to start with Alec Ayomanor. I have been very disappointed in Alec the past couple of weeks. Like, look, he made some plays today, no doubt. He made some plays that day, no doubt. I believe he had like 4 receptions, 52 yards. Not a terrible day, but I'm disappointed because of what it could have been. This could have been like a 5 reception. Would it be like, what, 100-ish yard day? Like, this could have been a 100-yard day with 5 receptions and the touchdown if he just didn't slow down on that route. Oh my gosh, that's such a disappointment. I am still, like, just sad about that. Like, we almost had a deep bomb that we could have hung our hats on and be like, hey, that was good. But because of Alec Ayomanor slowing up, we didn't get that. Cam was mad. I understand that. Honestly, my biggest negative, though, from Cam, on Sunday, it wasn't the fact that he yelled at Alec. It was the way that he did it. I don't know if it's just me, but I felt like his body language was really screaming toddler tantrum. Like, I don't know if anybody else agrees with me on that, but that's just how it felt. But again, not mad that Cam got upset, just mad about the way that he got upset, right? Anyway, but again, Alex slow up route solely alone got him into the negatives. Outside of that, it was a fine day, I guess. He probably wouldn't have even gotten mentioned on this, and I probably would have put Cody Barton in his place instead, which, by the way, he did avoid it this week. Even though I still don't think he's been that great, he did avoid the negatives this week. But again, LKO Manor, not the best week. Okay, next thing that I have is coaching. Mike McCoy still is not a great head coach. I mean, we obviously learned that his first time with the Chargers, and we knew that going into this that he was an interim head coach. He's not a head coaching candidate. So again, like, I don't know. It wasn't the greatest thing. 4th and 3 from the 45 may genuinely be one of the more baffling things that I've seen this year. Like, that was a terrible decision by Mike McCoy, in my opinion. But I do want to say this, and I'll give Mike McCoy this. Whenever he was asked about it in the press conference, he said, yeah, I should have gone for it, and that's on me. I should have gone for that. Blame me for that, right? He was completely fine with taking the blame. Remember whenever we had Callahan as head coach, every time he went up to the podium, every single time, he would make up some random excuse for why something happened. 50, like the ridiculous field goal that happened whenever we had a delay of game, a timeout, then the ball boy did something bad, and then we got another delay of game. Remember that? And remember whenever Callie had the audacity to go up in the press conference after being asked about that and be like, oh, yeah, the ball boy just, didn't do enough. I don't remember how much there were just absolute shills trying to defend him for that. I do, and I'm not going to name any of the shills because I'm trying to be more professional than that, obviously, and I'm not going to say the names, but if you're on Titans Twitter, you know exactly who I'm talking about, right? Like, just like, I never got it, but again, like Callie would always make up some type of excuse for why he did something. And I appreciate Mike McCoy saying, hey, I should have done better on that, right? That was just something that I wanted to point out, but still not a great coached game. Honestly, I'm just upset about the 4th and 3 and a couple of other things. Just not really it's more of a cowardly coached game than anything, in my opinion. Like, that's just how I feel. The next negative that I have is secondary. This is the final one. Secondary continues to be a disaster. Amani Hooker, for some reason, has played absolutely terrible this year. It's been the weirdest thing. Xavier Woods hasn't been that great. Father Time's catching up to him. And then the cornerbacks. Look, Roger McCreary got traded. That's fine, right? We got draft picks out of it. Cool, whatever. The list of players, oh my gosh, the list of players that we have at DB is absolutely hilarious. Like, look it up for me, if you please. Like, it is so bad, so terrible that I honestly just can't help but laugh at it. And again, they did about what you'd expect, not really the best game. I'm really hoping that we find like an absolute steal of a cornerback within like the 4th or 5th round, or that we sign 1 or 2 in free agency. I know that people said that, like, I remember I saw somebody say this, like, somebody said, oh yeah, they got so much cap space in free agency. I 100% bet you that they are going to use that cap space on, something. And then some dude in the comment section went, well, Mike Borgonzi in his press conference said that they were just going to rebuild through the draft. Brother, look, I'm not going to be mad at you. It's just that you need just something to be said to you. That doesn't mean he's never going to use free agency, or that all of his free agent classes are going to be like this year where it was just a bunch of like dudes. Like, he's still going to bring in fun guys. He's going to bring in like some type of starters. Like, it's not like he's never going to use free agency. And I could 100% see a world where free agency, we sign like a veteran cornerback who's been there, he's been really solid, and then we go on and draft another one in the 4th round, something like that. Pray that he's a steal, and then maybe the secondary could be okay. But again, I'm not expecting that, obviously. But that's just the optimist in me speaking. But again, that is probably going to be what happens, is that we sign a cornerback, we get one in a later round, and then pray, right? So unless one of these dudes like Chris Harris or that Micah kid that we just signed show something, and then they end up getting the right to start next year, and then it's that process, but then you have another cornerback. Who knows? All right. That's it for the positives and negatives. Now we get into one of my favorite sections to cover on this thing, and hopefully I don't have to do this for a very long time. after this season is done and after the offseason is done. But it's the top 5 head coaching candidates. Okay, honorable mentions: John Gruden, Flores, Joe Brady. Joe Brady, again, I don't know if he has the experience for it, and I feel like he's the biggest hit or miss head coach. Like, he would either be absolutely elite or he would be absolutely terrible. Really solid work that he did in Buffalo, especially this week, but I just don't know about him. Flores and John Gruden are more on here. Flores would be a contender for number 1 if it wasn't for the fact that he's going through a lawsuit right now and the Titans aren't going to touch that. Same thing goes with John Gruden. I think John Gruden's going to the SEC anyway. I think he's either going to Arkansas or LSU, honestly. Anyway, but let's get into this list. I changed the rule back to where number 5 isn't just a head coach only thing, because there's a new number 1, and honestly, I can't believe it, but y'all are going to see like what's happening with that. And there's a new number 2. Anyway, number 5 is Cliff Kingsbury, offensive coordinator for the Commanders. Again, really strong offensive mind. I think that he would help do wonders for Cam Ward in his first few years of coaching. Like, I don't even think he has to be there for too long. Just enough time to develop Cam Ward. But again, I struggle with wanting to bring him on because of his locker room presence. If it wasn't for that, I would be 100% on board with Cliff. But anyway, Cliff Kingsbury, not really the best head coaching option. Number 4, Josh Grizzard. Josh Grizzard and Clint Kubiak again, number 4, number 3. Josh Grizzard got pushed down, not because of any fault of his own, but just because, again, inexperience. That's the one thing that I'm starting to become worried about. Like, I think we need somebody that is experienced, but here's the thing, right? I'm starting to think about this. We may need someone with a little swagger, right? One of the biggest problems that the Titans have had is just playing it too conservative. Like, whenever we should go for it, we send the punt team out. Whenever we're going for it, we run it up the middle. Something stupid like that, right? Like, that's the type of stuff that's been happening, and we need somebody with a little bit of swagger. I actually think Grizzard could bring that. The same thing goes for Clint Kubiak. So, anyway, but Grizzard, again, really good offensive coordinator. Same thing with Clint Kubiak. Just don't know about them as head coaches. Number 2, Anthony Campanile, my man. Okay, he's gonna get the team to want to run through a brick wall with him. I'm almost certain of it. I think that he is a really solid just coach in general. I think that this is a guy that keeps on getting traction, and I think that he is going to be one of the top tier head coaching candidates by the end of the year. And also, they may have not crossed paths at Boston College, but Mike Wargonzi did start out at Boston College, and Anthony Campanile started out at Boston College. And it makes me think, hey, maybe, he heard his name a little bit, and there's some familiarity there. All right, but number 1, I have Mike McCarthy. Yeah, no, again, I thought he was going to be my permanent number 5, the guy that's there just as a rock solid, stable head coach. But, dude, I've been thinking about this, right? I want to take a look at 3 of the biggest criticisms that Aaron Rodgers had going into the NFL draft the year that he had been drafted. They said that he had poor footwork. They said he was easily flustered, and he doesn't do enough with his legs. Does any of that sound familiar to you? Genuinely. Because I feel like that's a pretty good summary of what Cam Ward's biggest problems have been his rookie year. His footwork has been poor. He has been pretty, maybe not easily flustered, but like he holds on to the ball for a little bit too long, and then whenever the pressure's on him, he gets a little flustered, and then doesn't do enough with his legs. That was the biggest criticism that even the commentators had. Like, I think that Mike McCarthy is actually really well equipped to develop Cam Ward, in my personal opinion. And I think that Mike McCarthy is the best head coaching option, and I think that he's a good gap coach. But you've also got to just 100% guarantee me that Mike McCarthy will hire his successor as his offensive or defensive coordinator. That's what I need reassurance of. You bring whoever that is in, you let them work under him for 4 or 5 years. Mike McCarthy rides off into the sunset after getting the Titans back on track. You promote that dude from inside, and then everything ends up being okay. That's what I'm hoping for anyway with that. But anyway, that's going to do it all for me. This is the end of the episode. I have Instagram and Twitter under the Titans Rundown if you want to go check those out. And I have YouTube for anybody that's listening over podcasting. And, I'm thankful for y'all watching. And that's going to do it all for me. This has been a rundown of your Tennessee Titans. I love y'all, and tighten up.